Welcome to Beachview. My name is Bob Maxson. I'm president of Cal State University Long Beach, and my guest today is Coach Seth Greenberg, coach of the 49er basketball team here at Cal State Long Beach. Welcome to the show, Seth. It's good to have you here.
Great to be here.
Listen, 4 straight winning seasons, 2 NCAA tournament appearances, won the Big West Conference tournament last year, an NIT bid. What a run we're on. What's this year look like?
Well, we've got an exciting group of players to work with. We're going to be much different from our last year's basketball team. Last year we relied on basically Joe McNall, Terrence O'Kelly, Mike Atkinson, Tyrone Mays, 4 seniors. This year it's going to be a different group, but we've got a good group. We've got James Cotton, who's coming off a medical redshirt, who had a tremendous freshman season and has worked very hard. And once again, he's 100% Cotton, which we need if we're going to be successful.
And a great kid.
Yeah, one of the best. And then we've got, Joaquin Hawkins, who
another great kid, who's already graduated, by the way.
Exactly. He just walked this past spring, and probably one of the best defensive players on the West Coast, and for sure one of the best defensive players in our conference. Maybe he's going to play some 4, some 3, but he runs the floor and he's working very hard. And then I know your favorite player, Eric Brown. Never saw a shot he didn't like, but he makes all the big ones.
Now, for our viewing audience, you can't talk about 4s and 3s. You've got to, you got to tell us what these positions are.
Well, Eric's a small forward. He plays one of our wings, and Eric probably made more big shots for our basketball team than anyone. Last year, if you think about the Reno game in the tournament, he made a big 3. And as the season went along, he gained more and more confidence, and we think that he's going to have just a magnificent senior season, and it's going to make me very difficult on me not to play him.
Yeah.
Up front, we've got some young players. Achille Jackson, who was a freshman last year.
Who also stepped up for you big time in the tournament right at the end of the game with against Reno.
Yeah, he finally rebounded the ball. We really struggled rebounding the ball, and Achille came in. He's such a quick jumper, and he's athletic and explosive, and we expect him to take his game to another level, very similar to the way Terrence O'Kelly did when he went from a sophomore to a junior. Well, now Achille Jackson's got to do that same thing. And Brian Yankelevitz, who we just was awarded an extra year of eligibility, so he'll only be a junior for us next year.
Oh, he got the extra year.
Yeah, so he won that appeal. Mary Ann Tripodi did a great job in our compliance office. And Brian's just a tough, hard-nosed kid. He's a very good passer, and he understands the game. So the front court has some question marks, but we have some talented players. And then in the backcourt, we have Rasul Salahuddin, who's probably everyone's favorite player because of the way he plays and how athletic he is and his ability to run the floor and obviously jump and make spectacular plays. Backing him up will be Brandon Titus, or competing with him will be Brandon Titus, a transfer from LSU, who we really like. He's rangy, he's long, he's a good defender. So we've got some pieces to the puzzle. We've got some incoming freshmen and some junior college players coming in, a couple of transfers, a different basketball team, more of a transition pressing team, which I know you like. We had to play to our personnel this year, and Joe McNall, our offense started with him and finished with him. Next year, I think we'll shoot the 3 a little bit more, and I think we'll extend our defense.
Seth, you did a masterful coaching job, and it was a great year. All kidding aside, I mean, with the injuries you had, you lost what many people thought was your best basketball player early on, and James Cotton, and then your big senior kid got hurt, and with the injuries that you had through the season, and when you were sort of patching lineups together and holding that team together, I think early in the year, no one even gave you a shot at getting in the tournament. In fact, many people didn't think you were going to have a winning season, and you end up in the NCAA tournament. So it was a great year, but this will be as you had telling me earlier, a different look. You had big men last year, so you had to play a control game so they could get up and down the floor, and this year will be a little different.
And the kids did a great job adjusting last year. I mean, our lineup changed from game to game.
I know. One of the fun things about going to the game was to see who was playing, who was walking, and who was on crutches. But your lineup did change a lot.
In fact, before we made the change with Tyrone Mays to the backcourt, We were planning to play a 2-3 zone against UNLV on our ESPN game, and in the last play of practice, Mike Atkinson goes down and hurts his other ankle. So each injury gave an opportunity for another player to step up and make a contribution. And you know, it's nice to see seniors step up and make plays. And you know, Tyrone Mays, a kid that really kind of floundered during the course of his career, steps up and just has a magnificent senior season, not just in how he played, but the leadership he gave our basketball team.
Nice young man.
Yeah,
Very nice.
He really grew and developed during the years here. So, you know, that was last year's team. Now we've got to move on to a different team, a different personality. We've got to find a way to be successful with this team and compete at a higher level with our schedule.
Right, tough schedule. What's the Pyramid meant to you?
It's, you know, I think that the Gold Mine, for its time, was the perfect place for us to play as we were establishing our basketball program. It was small enough that it was a very, very difficult place to play. It was basketball up close and impersonal. And fortunately, you know, now as the program has developed, if we wanted to maintain the program at a high level, we needed facilities to reflect our commitment and the university's commitment and our community. And what the Pyramids enabled us to do is hopefully maintain the program at a high level and maybe even take it to another level. You know, kids make decisions on basically two things: television exposure and facilities. We can talk all we want about academics, and academics are very important, and it's very important they graduate, but you know, you're not going to see too many high school Americans picking a school just for an academic reputation. They're picking a school for academic reputation, they're picking a school for opportunity to play, they're picking a school for facilities, and they're picking a school for television exposure. And you know, right now with the Pyramid enables us to play home games on national TV. I think next year we have 3 ESPN games out of the Pyramid. We never were able to do that.
And we'll probably pick up some other games on local television.
Exactly.
Also.
With the people from CVI are helping us do some type of package from our home games. So the Pyramid enables us to maintain the program and hopefully take the program to another level. You know, Dave O'Brien always talks about closing the gap between the Arizonas and the UCLAs and widening the gap between Cal State Fullerton, Santa Barbara, and UCI. And you know, the Pyramid enables us to do that.
Let me ask you a question, and I hope this is a fair question, but it's something I think I've observed, and I may be wrong. You talked about how youngsters select schools, and one criterion is that they want to play. There's a real expectation of these high school kids coming in now that want to play immediately. There's not much, they're not coming in with much patience generally. Now, I'm assuming it's because all of their life they've been superstars. But more and more I see in the print, maybe they're just writing, maybe the sports writers are writing about it more, where players are disgruntled over lack of playing time.
Yeah, I think it's very true. I think a lot of times young players, high school players especially, they don't understand the commitment that it takes to be successful at our level. There are very few freshmen that can come in and step in and play at our level. In fact, we've gone in another direction. We've redshirted most of our freshmen, given them a chance to adjust to college, given them a chance to mature physically and understand our system. But yeah, most high school seniors and rising college freshmen, they want to play now. They have no patience. They think it's an easy transition.
Right.
And that's why you see so many transfers. But that's been good for us, quite honestly, because what we do every year is we recruit 4 or 5 guys that we know are going to pick a school or make what I call a park decision. They're going to select the best sounding school. Maybe not the best school for their future, but the best sounding school. And then after 2 years, when they get through the arenas and the hype and all that, they realize they made a mistake and they usually come home. And that's why we recruit those certain athletes. And if you look at our roster, we've been very fortunate with transfer athletes. You know, I look back to Tyrone Mitchell, who was our captain years ago. He just graduated law school from Arizona State. He went to Arizona State University out of high school with all the hype, but he ended up coming home. Now we have Corey Saffold, who went to the University of Oklahoma. He came back to Long Beach State. Tommy Davis, he went to the University of Houston. He came back to Long Beach State. So, you know, sometimes a young high school kid thinks the grass is greener and they expect to play right away. And then we get them as transfers. It's a great opportunity because now they are redshirting. They have a year to understand our program. They have a year to mature and develop. And now they have a more productive college career.
Well, I think also that speaks well for you. You have a reputation of not putting undue pressure on youngsters, and in fact, I've heard you say that if they decide to do something else, you'll be the first one to help them with that transition. And there's no question if If they're not happy where they are, for some reason they're not satisfied with that university, then they feel comfortable in talking to you again because you helped them to start with.
Exactly.
You didn't burn any bridges behind you.
Yeah, you can't do that. And, you know, we've been fortunate. We had one player that almost left who ended up winning a lot of games for us. You know, Eric Brown, at the end of his sophomore season, he was wondering if he could play at this level.
Right.
And we had a number of discussions, and I don't know, between you and Dave O'Brien. Dave O'Brien's always been a big Eric Brown fan because Dave O'Brien was a jump shooter also. But you know, he decided to stay. But you know, you can't eliminate your options, and you know, you can't. If a young man decides not to attend your school, you can't just say, well, you know, heck with him. I mean, you know, our arms are always open and waiting for a young man who wants to come home.
There's good news and bad news with great bench depth. The good news is you've got great bench depth. The bad news is it's hard to keep good players happy when they're having to share time with too many other players. What about the conference? I hear, I've been around the Big West Conference now for 11 years. I've been active as a president of the Big West Conference. In fact, I think I'm in the Big West Conference longer than any president. I have the longest tenure of any president. And I've sort of been a fan of the Big West, but as you know, we're maligned at times. There are people who think this is the absolute right conference for our university, but others question it. What's your assessment of the conference?
Conference is on the rise right now. We've got 3 or 4 teams in our conference that are very talented. Utah State has made tremendous strides in the last 2 or 3 years.
Hey, they could have played with anyone last year, couldn't they?
They were terrific. France and their backcourt, Woodard and Anderson were outstanding. You know, they rebounded the ball. Well, they're the best rebounding team in the country. New Mexico State is always difficult to play. Neil McCarthy is one of the country's best coaches, and his style makes it difficult to prepare for. You know, right now Nevada is on the upswing, and obviously with the Big West tournament moving to Nevada, that's a tremendous advantage to them.
Foster's done a good job over there.
They've got the best senior class in our conference. Brian Green might be one of the better wing players in our conference. Daniel Watts, a post player, a center, 6'9", is probably one of the most improved front court players. If they get good point guard play, they'll probably be the preseason choice to win the conference. And then you've got UOP, who returns everyone. They don't graduate one player. And Bob Thompson is always difficult to play against. Obviously, our team is going to be competitive once again. You've got about 7 or 8 schools that are really going to compete for a championship. San Jose State will probably be the most improved team in the conference. They have a transfer from the University of Michigan who was a high school All-American.
Right.
They signed a 7-foot player out of here of Sonora. So, you know, the conference is going to be very competitive.
Good. Listen, when we get back, I want us to talk a little bit more about athletics in general and about basketball in general, and so let's just save those thoughts, and we'll take a quick break now, and we'll be right back on Beachview.
Mm-hmm. 2 o'clock. Okay.
Your employees who serve in the National Guard and Reserve may seem different. They may work a little harder, be more confident, more willing to make the extra effort to get the job done right. So when your employees need time off to serve, remember, it's not just good for our country, it's good for your business.
Glad you could all make it.
There may be something you're not seeing here, because the first sign of breast cancer isn't easy for you to spot. That's why a yearly mammogram is a must, especially if you're over 50. Doctors say the older you get, the higher the risk of breast cancer. But early detection increases your chance of successful treatment. While you may not be able to see something this small, a mammogram can. Call the American Cancer Society. Early detection is the best protection.
Welcome back to Beachview. I'm Bob Maxson, president of Cal State Long Beach, and my guest today is basketball coach Seth Greenberg. Welcome back, Seth, and let's talk a little more basketball. We've been talking in the first half of the program specifically about your team, the players you have back. It looks like it's going to be an exciting year. We were talking during the break. You never know what your final record's going to be, but it does promise to be a fun year, and I hope all of our fans will get those season tickets and come out to the Pyramid and watch the games. And you know, the Pyramid itself is sort of an experience. If they've never been to the Pyramid for a sellout basketball game with that light show and the excitement, and it's just a great basketball arena because you're right down next to the action. It's a good place to watch basketball, isn't it?
Oh, it's great. They did a great job designing the Pyramid. The idea of bringing the seats into the floor and building the seats down to the floor, and the atmosphere created is just magnificent. There's not a lot of room on the baselines, and like you said, it's an event. It's not just a basketball game. We hope it's a social event. We hope it's an event that parents want to bring their children to. It's good, wholesome entertainment. It's affordable. We have the Beach Buddies program, which is very affordable for people to bring their whole families, and there's entertainment for the kids, and it's exciting. It's not Disneyland, but it's the next best thing.
Well, I tell you, when we're packing the students in, that's what pleases me. The student turnout is wonderful, and there's no question in my mind that the Pyramid has done as much or more to sort of advance school spirit, if you may, than anything probably in the history of the university.
Well, Doc, you've had a hand in that. I mean, not too many college presidents are going to go and visit every fraternity and sorority and kind of get them fired up. And the problem with the Pyramid and the students is there's one older guy that sits in the middle of them, and he's learning all kinds of new words.
That's right. That's right. That's what I tell my wife.
And people say that he's kind of creating all the ruckus.
I sit right in the middle of the students over there, and I have learned a lot of new words sitting over there with the students. Let's talk a little bit about basketball in general. NCAA, every year at the NCAA convention, which is made up of presidents and athletic directors and coaches and faculty athletic reps, there's always important legislation or rules to be considered by the NCAA. Why don't you share with our viewing audience maybe some areas that you've got your eye on, some of the things you'd like to see happen nationally?
Well, one of the areas I think is very important is Prop 48 students or partial qualifiers.
Now tell our audience what you mean by Prop 48 or partial qualifier.
A partial qualifier basically is a young man who either doesn't have the core curriculum of his 13 core courses at the correct GPA, or doesn't have a high enough SAT or ACT score. If he has one or the other, he is termed a partial qualifier. And right now, under NCAA rules, if a partial qualifier is admitted, and next year a partial qualifier will be able to receive a scholarship, but will not be able to participate. The problem with the rule is when that young man becomes a fourth-year senior, he has only participated in 3 years of collegiate sport. And the NCAA hopefully will have a proposal to give that student athlete his fourth year back. And the way I look at it is that young person was in the band, he'd be able to play in the band for 4 years, or 5 years, or as many years as it would take for him to graduate.
I view it as an incentive factor. I think there's a misnomer out there that when youngsters are what we call Prop 48, that it automatically means they're bad students. Right. What it typically means that there is a deficiency somewhere, and sometimes that could have been due, frankly, to bad counseling or just bad judgments early in their career. But it seems to me the advantage of saying if you get in college and you really make good grades, you do good, you prove that you're a good student, then rather than just penalizing you and giving you 3 years of eligibility, we'll give you that fourth year of eligibility. And it seems to me like that would be a great incentive for the youngster to work hard.
And I think they should create a formula, like if you're within a certain amount of credits of graduation, then you get that fifth year back and the fourth year of eligibility. And to me, Prop 48 is something that singles out these young men and kind of puts them off to the side. And the best example I use is Joaquin Hawkins was a Prop 48, and he's graduating in 4 years because he's got proper counseling, he went to summer school, he used a tutoring system, and he was focused. And to me, why would you not reward a young man like that with an extra year of eligibility? Now, if a young man is not taking advantage of his academic opportunities, then you don't reward him with a fifth year. But I think there's some formula that could be developed that would say you've had satisfactory progress, we see you're a serious student, we see you want to be successful, we're going to give you this year of eligibility back.
Freshman eligibility. Should they be eligible as freshmen?
Well, I think financially they're going to have to be eligible as freshmen because, as you know, athletic departments usually don't run in the black. And now if you decide to have freshmen in eligibility, you're looking at a freshman team and a freshman budget and a freshman coach. But ideally, I believe that freshmen should be ineligible. I don't think, but in theory, I don't think that's possible. It takes time to make the adjustment. All high school players think the adjustment is easier than it really is.
Yeah.
You know, to me, and what we've done, again, is we've redshirted players. And, you know, by redshirting players, not only do we let them mature physically.
Tell our viewers what you mean by redshirting a player. There may be some that are not avid basketball followers.
Basically, redshirting means that the young person can participate in practice, attend schools, does everything a normal student athlete would do, but doesn't participate in the games, and therefore receives another year of eligibility back.
Now, and the red shirt doesn't mean that they're not academically eligible.
No.
It just means that maybe that they're not physically mature enough or
Injured.
Or injured. That's right.
And it takes time to, and what we've been able to do, and something that, you know, as we look back, I think has been a wise decision on our behalf, is by redshirting student athletes, we keep them moving towards their degree. It gives them 5 years to graduate, and you know, most students it takes 5 years to graduate. It enables them to stay on track and therefore graduate well before their class does.
Right.
In fact, like Mike Atkinson a year ago, he redshirted a year. Last year as a fifth-year senior, he's in graduate school. Joaquin Hawkins, he redshirted. He's a fifth-year senior next year. He'll be taking some graduate classes either the first or second semester. Eric Brown will graduate at the end of the first semester. He'll be enrolled in some graduate courses the second semester. So what it does is it enables your student athletes to stay focused academically and move them towards their degree. The hardest thing a coach has to do is deal with a senior, a second semester senior, after his eligibility is finished, and keeping that young man focused on academics.
Right.
It's just very difficult.
Well, let's talk about academics a minute. You know, and I'll tell you, as a college president, I hear it all the time. I hear it from citizens, both sports boosters and non-sports boosters, talk to me about whether we should emphasize academics or whether we should emphasize athletics. And let me sort of share with you what my response to that is. I always tell our supporters and tell our public that in my judgment, there is no inherent conflict between good academics and good athletics. There's no inherent tension between good academics and good athletics. The universities in this country that I admire most excel in both. In other words, you can be good at both. And, you know, I'll plug one of our neighbors here just a bit, right up the road, UCLA. I happen to think UCLA is one of the great public universities in the nation. I think if you start listing the top 5 or 10 public universities in the nation, UCLA would be on that list. And I don't know, the last count I had this past year, they had 3 or 4 national championships under their belt, including men's basketball. So we look at the North Carolinas, the Michigans, and the Indianas. These are very, Ohio State, Stanford. These are very, very good academic institutions, and there are many more. I'm sure there are people watching. I've left out their favorite university. There are many more, but they also excel in athletics. What's your view? Tell me your view on as a coach. What do you feel are your obligations on the academic side of the house?
We have to graduate our student athletes. I mean, that's our commitment. We recruit basically within a 90-mile radius. If we're not successful graduating our student athletes, we will cease to exist at our level because our student athletes become our best recruiters. And we make a serious commitment. Now, I've changed the philosophy a little bit. I'll graduate every student athlete that wants to get a degree. I cannot make a young man who's 4 classes away from graduation and done with his eligibility, I can't make him attend class if he doesn't want to attend class. But for the student athlete that's serious and wants to get his degree, we'll provide an environment where academics are important. We'll give him individual academic tutoring. We'll give him study halls. We raise money during the course of the summer to pay for summer school, room, board, books, and tuition. And that's very important because in the summertime, the student athlete gets ahead. He picks up 6 extra credits. So If he picks up 30 during the school year and he picks up his 6 in the summer, now he's staying on track to graduation. And that's where Joaquin and Hawkins and Eric Brown and those people have been successful. But I think they've got to work together. And we have a serious commitment to academics. And I'm very proud that right now, of the young people in our program, every single player is on track to graduation. Now, they're not all great students, but they work at it, they attend class, they follow up, they use the tutors, and therefore they're having an opportunity to receive their degree. And to me, if we don't graduate our student athletes and just win games, we're not really sending the right message. The other thing I think that's important to me, and I think what Long Beach State represents, is people say, well, we take some marginal students. But we are a state university, and we do reflect the masses and not just the classes. And we're a blue-collar school, and we're a school of opportunity. And as long as we make a commitment to academics and our kids are serious about attending class and gaining a degree and being a positive influence on our community, then I think that's good. And I just look back right now, and of the young people in our program, they are serious about academics. I can go right down the list, and we are making progress. We've went from a school that was in the lower third of graduation rates in college basketball. Now you look and see what's happening with the Tyrone Mitchells and the Darryl Faulkners and the Chris Towers and the Mike Atkinsons and the Joaquin Hawkinses and the Eric Browns, and we're graduating student athletes.
Coach, we got 1 minute, and I've got to ask you this question. You were being pursued heavily by many very fine institutions last year as a basketball coach. As your president, I had the opportunity of being privy to most of those, and I know those were serious inquiries, and I happen to know that you could have gone to one of several major universities as a basketball coach had you chosen to, and there's no doubt in my mind that that interest will continue. Why'd you stay at Cal State Long Beach?
I think it was a people decision, really. I'm very comfortable here. We've got tremendous support from the community. We've got tremendous support from the athletic department. Obviously, to have a relationship that I am able to have with the college president is very, very important to my decision. And to me, it's a people decision, just like when we tell recruits. You're not just picking a name, you're picking people. And I think we haven't finished our job here yet. I know people speculate, well, this is a stepping stone. Long Beach State is no longer a stepping stone job. We have the pyramid. We have a national image right now. People are excited about the direction we're going. We've got terrific young players. So, I'm excited about the future at Long Beach State. It's a great community, and the community's been very supportive to me and my family, and we've had a great relationship and a great run.
Well, and we're excited about your being here. Thank you for being on the show, Coach. And I hate to call timeout, but that's all the time we have today, and I'm sure our fans will join us and looking forward to another great year for 49er basketball. And good luck, Seth, and thank you for watching Beachview. I'd like to thank the boss of CSULB TV, Matt Kaplan, my assistant, Tony Barone, and thank you for joining us, and we'll see you on the next edition of Beachview.